Wow, this farm is fast. I have so many items over here. Both of these double chests are filled, and I stepped away for less than an hour. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of SkyBlock. This is your host Sakari here. My plan for this episode was to build a wandering trader farm, but I realized it's going to require way too many materials, so I think what I could do instead is upgrade my starter mob farm here. And then we'll get tons of bones to make tons of bone blocks, and we'll have everything we need. Let's get started on designing the farm. So this farm is going to revolve around everything being exactly one slab away from the mobs dying versus surviving. So if I add a slab here, then there'll be one hit kills when they fall off. So if I did this right, perfect. So this is a pretty basic setup, but once mobs are flowing down this, we'll notice that they get pushed off instead of jumping, so they're going to consistently land there with one half heart. So they'll be like one punch away from dying, which is absolutely perfect. So I think next I'll make a box like this, and then you'll notice that the water goes right up to the edge here. So then from here we can just make the typical patterns. This way we don't end up flooding the whole thing. If we block out the 3 blocks in each corner and fill the whole thing, I think this should work. And then we'll punch out those blocks. I forgot a block there. Okay, now all the water pours straight into the middle, and so no matter where any of the mobs come from, they will all get kind of pushed down to the middle. Ooh, that is a problem. And now with a little extra channel, now there's no problem where they all kind of push each other and don't fall down. So now this part is where it's going to make a really big difference from the previous farm. Since we have redstone now, we're going to be relying on these trapdoors pushing water. We can power this trapdoor to make it flip down and the water spills out and it pushes all the mobs off the platform. And then when it gets unpowered, the trapdoor flips up, the water stops, allowing more mobs to spawn. So I've created this 16 more times, and now I've hooked up a redstone loop. What we're relying on is the delay between the torches turning on and off. So one torch powers the next one, which turns it off, which unpowers the next one. It just kind of follows this loop that goes all the way around. And since we have 4 layers, that takes just about the right amount of time for the signal to go all the way around. And that allows the monsters to get continually pushed off these platforms. We should be good to just put a roof on it and test it out. So I gave myself some night vision, and we can see the spiders are clogging it up a little bit here. But what's also going on is some of these mobs are getting pushed to the corner by the spiders, and so this way it's getting a little bit stuck. Now I'm hoping that a 2 wide drop is going to fix things getting clogged up right there. And yeah, this is working quite a bit better. The mobs are getting pushed over the edge. There's a few here, but that shouldn't decrease the rates too much. And now with the glass in place, it's capturing all the mobs right in these 2 spots. So we should be able to take them out pretty easily with the sword. Wow, it is still going. And then I think if I remove these blocks, all the mobs should be dying when they fall. Perfect. So we can just, so that's our mode. So we can either do this, or XP, or this, or automatic. Wow, this is a lot faster than our previous version of the farm. But I think we could still make it a little bit faster. Just to get a picture of how fast it is right now, let's do a quick 5-minute test. 62 and 64 bones total, so that's what I'm going for here. I did get 9 glow ink sacks, a little bit of some other stuff too. But the main thing I want from this farm is bones, so I'm just going to keep track of that. Some bones and gunpowder and rotten flesh out the back here, so the mob filter isn't working perfectly. Since the spiders keep slowing down the overall farm because they kind of jam up everywhere, I'm thinking I'll just make this farm not deal with them at all. And with this design here, there won't be any spiders that spawn. And with that, we've converted the whole farm to be this new layout. Let's give it a test. So here's a quick time lapse. I did notice that the witches tend to build up a little bit at the bottom here, so we may want to either find an AFK spot that's a little farther away so the witches despawn and it doesn't slow down the farm, or later come up with a way to make sure that the witches die. All right, and the 5 minutes are up, so here's how much stuff we got. 2.5 stacks of bones, which is a little bit of an improvement for sure. I wonder if we can make it even faster though. So I've replaced the spider area where it separates them with some trapdoors. Also, I was hoping that this means that they won't try not to fall off of this because they'll see these as solid blocks. Why are all the mobs doing a little hop right before they fall? So I'm thinking if I just swap these trapdoors around, so instead now the blocks are at the bottom, they shouldn't be jumping as much. So now as they get pushed down, there's no more jumping. And it does look like they're pushed off with a little bit less resistance. So I think I've moved the water around in such a way now that it's just these two narrow troughs, and all of these should actually push all the items to the middle. Even from the direct sides, items do fall straight down. I also noticed that the two high mobs might hit their heads right here. So if we just put some signs on these very last two, then when the water flows out, they won't actually get stopped in the corners. And here's another 5-minute test. And this doesn't really look any different than the other time lapse, but we'll see the results in a sec. So this time we got 174 bones, which is 20 more bones than last time. And I think at this point, we're about as good as it gets. I did the math. This farm can only get around 10% faster before the hoppers won't be able to keep up. And both of these double chests will fill up in around 2 Minecraft days. And so this is what it's going to take to build this farm. So we have quite a few building blocks. But if you're building this in survival, that none of these materials matter exactly which blocks that you use. So you can use any type of wood instead of bone blocks or anything like that. And the glass is totally optional. So speaking of survival, let's go do that right now. And we're back from the time lapse. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get back to the game. So I did want to show you that it rained all day yesterday, right as soon as I was done with the time lapse. So I just sat at this farm and grinded for a bit, and this is how much armor I got just from all these drops here. And then this chest is like half filled with bones already. I keep tossing out the rotten flesh and stuff, just tossing it over the edge here. It is crazy. And after just a few more minutes, we ended up getting this many bone blocks once all the bones were crafted. And this is incredible. I'm just so happy with this. I absolutely love it. And with that, I think I'm going to call it for this episode. It was super fun building this farm, and I look forward to catching you in the next one. So I will definitely be working on getting the wandering traders in this next episode. So I'll catch you then. See ya!